Now, any of us who have used GarageBand know that the instruments that come with it, all the software instruments, are hugely high quality. The drum sounds, we're getting updates all the time, or we can have this drum kit or this drum kit. It's all very lovely. However, all of these sounds are available, of course, to all of us. One thing that can make a big difference to your recordings, in addition to the main vocal, are backing vocals. Now, at the moment, I've got here a slow version of Light My Fire by The Doors. It's more like the Shirley Bassey sort of big band version. So I've just done a little bit of programming here, and we've got this. Now, on her original recording, there are brass parts at the beginning, the ba-da, ba-da. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multi-track those using just my voice. Now, the thing is, to do backing vocals, it's a very good idea to, first of all, get your timing absolutely spot on. If you get your timing right, little tuning errors aren't necessarily aren't necessarily a bad thing. So if I just go on to I've just created a lot of tracks here, as you can see on the screen. The blue one is my lead vocal, where I'm just going, it's doing a little intro thing. So my first backing vocal, I'm going to do some rhythms and parts which I've worked out previously. I've got them on this piece of paper here, just written out a little crib sheet of what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start with the top vocal. Now I'm going to record 3 of each part. Why 3? Why can't you just record one part and paste it onto the other 2 tracks? Well, the answer is that would be no different from recording one and turning the volume up. So I'm going to record 3 of each vocal, and then you can hear how that can work, especially in stereo. So I'm going to use headphones, obviously, because of GarageBand, but you've got to be careful that you get your headphone volume right, and preferably take one slightly off your ear, which will then give you the acoustic connection between your mouth and your ears that you would otherwise have when you were singing. It can be give you a false impression with the headphones. And if the headphones are too loud, you might actually start singing quite sharp and then flat if they're too quiet. So it's a good idea just to be a little bit careful with this. Now, I'm going to start recording on this track. So if I just go to my mic here, it's going to turn the it's going to turn them down a bit so that it's not distorted. And then I'm going to go back to my main page. There we go, just to find where I am. When you press record, it by default shows you the instrument you're recording, but it's always nice to have the main page showing there. Okay, here we go then. Okay. Yeah, 1 or 2 little problems with that, but I'm not going to delete it just yet, because if I record 2 exactly the same, or 2 of the parts that are the same, not exactly the same of course, any tuning inaccuracies in one part can be masked by the other 2. So you don't need to be really there with your sort of tuning, or completely there. It's the timing that's important. So just looking at those parts, let's just see if I ended that long note at the same time in both parts. Pretty good, pretty similar. It's very important, especially in stereo. If you've got parts that have slightly different timing, they'll stick out like a sore thumb. Mono, not so bad, but you want to get it right. So I had to keep in mind where my backing vocals finished. You can either do it by, I wouldn't sort of conduct yourself. I wouldn't do that because it actually you know, it can detract from the vocal quality. I'm also sitting down, which isn't ideal. Now, if we just go back and look at those three parts, that's not too bad timing wise. I'm going to solo out these parts now using the just the headphone symbol here, and I'm also going to check that I've panned them. So if I just go into my effects, I can see that I've panned that one hard left, the middle one's in the center, and the bottom one is on the right hand side. So I'm just going to solo those three and have a little listen. That's not too bad. When they're in the mix, now, yeah, beware of that. Don't think you can fix things in a mix, but don't be overly critical either, because you might actually be recording for days and days and days where you could actually have got quite a good result just by doing this. So I'm going to just put down the, now I've arranged the tracks so that they are left, center, right in terms of their panning. So when I put my backing vocals down, they will actually all end up being left, right, left, center, right. And here we go. Here's the second part. So let's get rid of the all of these, the mixing desk, just so I can see what I've got. You can actually also look at them graphically if you want to get your timing right, but I wouldn't recommend using your eyes too much. It's all about your ears. That one I finished too early. That is going to stick out. So you can see there that my fourth part looks like a load of bombs being dropped. The fourth part there, as you can see, ends early. There's no point in keeping it if you can do it better. So just going to take a quick recap with my other vocals so I can count exactly where they ended. Literally just on the cusp of that tom that you can hear on the drum kit. Let's have a quick look at that. That's better. Worth getting right first time, or at least until you get it really showing nicely with the other tracks. Notice I also tried to do all that in one breath. Whether or not it will work is another thing. Of course, you have to breathe to stay alive. But if you can do everything without breathing in with some of those parts, because the breaths will also show up on the recording, you don't want lots of different breaths everywhere because it will detract from what you're actually trying to do here. A little bit wavery on that final note there, but let's hear it just from that third bar. I know it's there, but if you're listening for the first time, you probably wouldn't tell. So I'm just going to stick some more parts down, and you can see how this thickens the mix up. Start with a different note. Started on the wrong note there. Okay. Now those notes sounded a bit weird. I've worked it out and I know that they're going to work, but sometimes things don't completely come out in the wash unless you've got all your parts down. flick the desk, yes, you can see a little spike at the end on that one. If I just zoom in that bottom track, oh, undo that. Zoom in that bottom track, you can see that there's a little spike at the end there, which I'll have to get rid of. You can do quite a lot of audio editing with this, actually. So how many tracks have I got so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got one more part of that, and then we can see what we've got. Now, I said before about recording and watching the waveforms of other tracks. Of course, you can't do that because when you're in record, you're looking at the instrument that you're recording, so you have to go with your ears. That's a good thing. So I'm going to put down another track. In fact, I'm going to put the center one down first, but not the other two, because I just want to check whether the parts are working. So that's something you could do. You could record every 3 tracks. If you like what you're hearing harmony-wise, fill in the other bits, or that is the 2 channels of the same harmony. About that one. So I'll just go back here and I'm going to add 3 more tracks because I've got 5-part harmony, just so you can see what you can do with this. Now, it's a very good way of swallowing tracks up. Don't forget, we've only got 32 tracks available. When I say only, that can be a little bit tricky if you've got lots and lots of backing vocals, but you can actually do things like mixing down just your backing vocals onto a song on iTunes, or you can share it to the iPad itself and then bring it in as a loop, so you end up with one stereo track, which is pretty good. So I'm just going to stick down my last part and then let's see what happens. Just a B flat all the way through. Okay. Now you've got to stick to your guns here. This is all quite close harmony, and this might be more than you'd need for your tune, but that's okay. We can just have a little listen through, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to solo out the vocals that I've done so that you can hear the chord without the backing track. So I just go to solo on all of these tracks here, including those 2 there, and let's have a listen. Now that bottom track was quite loud and it did mask the others. Now that to me, I mean, I've done this first take, but I think that's quite usable. Now you can mix all of these dry, that is no reverb at all. If you're going to do the bouncing of the tracks, we used to call it ping-ponging or bouncing or collapsing tracks when we only had an 8-track reel-to-reel recorder. If you want to record 16 things on an 8-channel deck, you can't do it. So you have to record maybe all of your drums and your bass, and maybe your keyboards. There we go, 6 tracks. Mix those as a stereo backing track onto tracks 7 and 8, freeing up 1 to 6 to do other things with. Doesn't mean there's no undo button, and if you've made a mistake in your mix, you're kind of stumped really. But the essence of it is that you can actually create something that's more than 32 tracks. So let's just putting that in with the mix. The general backing track here, it should all fit. No. So there you have it. There are your backing vocals. Now, one thing you should also try and do, if we listen to those vocals back again, well, luckily there are no what are known as phasing problems between them. Now that's where you have the same singer positioned exactly the same distance with respect to the mic. That could induce some phasing problems where you're singing essentially the same part into the same mic at the same distance. I think that's okay. It actually manifests itself worse if you're closer to the mic, but I'm about 12 inches from the mic as well, maybe even further, 15 inches from the mic, and it still picked it up. This is the internal mic of the iOS device, and it's, regardless if it's a phone or an iPad, they're pretty good. So there we go. There is the introduction where you can use your voice to do brass parts. Now, when it comes to words, singing backing vocals to words, you've got to be far more accurate with your timing and just general diction to make sure that everything is absolutely spot on. So if I just find the come on baby to you, I think it's bar 13. Come on baby, light my fire. So with something like this, it's worth starting from a bar before. You know how it gives you a counting. Ideally, I wouldn't have started the backing vocals right at the very beginning, but I was quite lazy with them, so actually they start just after beat 1. But if you're trying to get words right, like come on baby, you need to make sure that you're not encumbered by any of the recording process. So if I go onto the top track, I'm going to record Come On Baby Light My Fire, but I'm going to wait for a bar before I come in. We can get much higher, yeah. Come on baby, light my fire. Come on baby, light my fire. Come and set this place on fire. Notice how I kept completely silent at the end of that take as well. You don't want lots of switching off of your recording to be going on while you're trying to do this. And for some reason, it didn't record. Let's just check that it's no. Maybe I accidentally deleted it. I'll do it again. We can get much higher, yeah. Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on baby, light my fire. Come and set this place on fire. Now actually on that particular version, there it is, it's come up now. I made sure there was a little fade at the end of that rather than going and stopping. It's actually more natural, so I'm glad I did it again. Sometimes if you have to do something again, it makes the thought process of how can I do that better come into play. So I'm just going to record the I'm going to do this time with the harmony parts first, then I'm going to check and fill in if required. We can get much higher, yeah. Come on baby, light my fire. Come on baby, light my fire. Come and set this place on fire. Okay, let's see what happens with that. So we'll go back. I pressed the undo button. That's what I did last time. It is placed rather at the forefront of the interface, so be careful that you don't get shot of it accidentally. So I'm going to record the next part. I'm just going to do 4 parts here. We can get much higher, yeah. Come on baby, light my fire. Come on baby, light my fire. Come and set this Okay, in the fourth and final part, let's see what that sounds like. So that's that one, and then I'm going to record. I think just double checking that I've got my the right track that I'm recording on. Yes, it's that one. Yeah. So I think. Oh, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You can drag your regions into the order that you want them after the event. So don't worry if you've recorded, for example, on the wrong track. It doesn't matter. So I'll just have a go with the last part.
We can get much higher, yeah. Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Come and set this place on fire.
Okay, so let's just have a listen to those vocals. Just, I have a feeling I've just done the same. No, I haven't. No, they're all there, luckily. Okay, so I'm just going to solo those parts out and have a little listen.
Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire.
So, yes, I had recorded those on the wrong tracks, as it were, because I really wanted to listen to the ones that were in the middle of each part. So left, centre, right, left, centre, right, left, centre, right, left, centre, right. So I'm just going to listen to those again so that you can hear them as a whole on both sides. And hopefully this will work. Here we go.
Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Ooh, come and set this place on fire.
Okay, so you can hear as I tap the iPad to stop the recording, you can hear that. You can hear the. So all you do is you just go to your vocal part. Now, you've got to be careful here that you don't drag the vocal part out of time and that you just grab the handle at the right-hand side here, because you can actually, inadvertently, if I demonstrate with this one, you can move the entire track. So we'd obviously want to undo that and then just hold it for a split second, and then that it knows that you're trying to grab the one end of it to trim it. Same with the beginning. I only recorded a bar behind, as you recall, because I just wanted to make sure that I get the beginning syllable rather than chopping it off. On Logic, it actually records a bar before, so that you've got a little bit to work with if you need to, but not on GarageBand. It just gives you a count in and then starts.
Come on, baby.
So the timing of that isn't great.
Come on, baby.
You can see which part is the offending part if you have a look at this. It looks like the third part down was slightly late. Now, how are you going to counter that?
Come on, baby.
You could, if you were feeling daring, split the track by just splitting there, and then bringing that ever so slightly back. But you've got a hole here. It may pay to do it again.
Come on, baby, light. Come on, baby, light.
Notice how I closed my eyes when I was listening to that edit. You don't want to be looking at pretty pictures. You want to be listening really carefully.
Come on, baby, light my.
It could be that the k sound was a little bit stronger in one of the other tracks. But if you thicken up the harmony here by recording all of your other parts, you can hide this. So I'm just going to do that. So recording from bar 12, I'm just going to record one other part, the two parts of the top one.
Come on,
top G for me is problematic. So ideally I'd be doing some practice on that to try and get that to work. And for some reason I've recorded over the Hammond organ part. I didn't select the part I was going to record. Not intelligent at all. And I should have realised that when I saw the picture of the Hammond organ and I was recording a "Lemon, baby, lemon."
Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Ooh, come set this place on fire.
That top G went much better there. I accidentally hit it. So, again, every cloud. So. I got it again. Okay, so there is argument to say that if you've got 3 vocals that are panned, you may be able to pan the remaining parts that you've got without having to do lots of those as well. So if we just go back to my mixing desk here, I could pan the next part down ever so slightly left, that one ever so slightly right, and then maybe keep the bottom one in the centre.
Baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Ooh, come set this place on fire.
Depends how far you want to go with this, but frankly, you can just keep going with this. I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus my, how many parts I do? 5, 15, 6, 21 tracks. I've still got another 11 before I outstrip the capability of this iOS device. So actually you can keep going, but be aware that if you want to put things like strings in or any other parts, just make sure you're not going to run out of tracks before you realise your complete song. Anyway, there we go. There is an introduction to recording backing vocals with GarageBand.